Okay, let's dive into this because we are looking at what might literally be the most radical manifesto for travel ever written. Today, we're unpacking Rahul Sanskrittyan's philosophy in his provocative text, The Science of Wandering. And his core, groundbreaking idea? Well, it's that wandering isn't just some fun vacation, it is actually the ultimate human endeavor.
To really get where he's coming from, you have to hear this bold premise right out of the gate. The text declares the greatest thing in this world is wandering. He actually goes as far as to say that the world isn't supported by deities like Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva. No, it's sustained by the relentless movement of wanderers. It's a massive hook, right? It completely flips our traditional idea of worldly duties right on its head. And this brilliantly illustrates the original Marathi text of Patkanti Shastra, The Science of Wandering. If we ground ourselves in chapter 1 here, we see his argument that early humans, they were natural-born wanderers. Long before farming or setting up permanent towns, we were basically migrating birds, constantly on the move beneath the open sky, just surviving and thriving through pure exploration. Section 1. Wandering, the supreme religion. So wandering isn't just a casual hobby on the weekends. Sanskrittyan argues it's the absolute highest form of devotion in action a person can undertake. To prove this, he points to what he calls the first-class wanderers of history. We're talking absolute giants: Gautama Buddha, Lord Mahavira, Adi Shankaracharya, Guru Nanak. Now, what's really crucial to grasp here is that figures like Buddha and Mahavira actually rejected traditional deities. Yet, according to the text, they were supreme wanderers. They spread their profound wisdom, logic, and compassion not by sitting static in a temple somewhere, but by constantly moving and walking across the continent. Section 2. The Curse of Narrow-Mindedness. Now, you might be wondering, if wandering is so vital, why aren't we all just doing it? Well, the author diagnoses a major problem in human society: stagnation. When we stop moving physically, our minds basically stop expanding intellectually. On one side, you've got the worldly wanderer, constantly gathering new perspectives. But on the other side, you have what the text calls the Kupa Manduk. It's this brilliant, striking metaphor that translates to the frog in the well. Imagine a frog that thinks its tiny circle of water and the little patch of sky above is the entire universe. The author uses this term to sharply criticize anyone whose worldview is completely trapped by their immediate, limited surroundings. To escape this metaphorical well, the text offers a really specific rule of thumb. It says, if winter is spent in one place, summer should be 200 miles away. The logic here is just beautiful. The author deeply believed that we humans, much like those migrating birds we talked about, were meant to experience the sheer vastness of the earth. Staying static in one climate, in one geography, it just goes against our very nature. Section 3. Great Wanderers of History. Let's move to and see how this builds globally, because this philosophy isn't just limited to ancient India. Look at how physical movement has been the real engine of human progress. Take Charles Darwin. It wasn't just his raw intelligence, it was his physical voyages across oceans that actually led to the theory of evolution. Then you have Christopher Columbus opening pathways to the Americas, and Vasco da Gama connecting the East and West. The source material makes the case that without this sheer, undeniable drive to wander, these monumental leaps in science and global connection literally wouldn't exist. Section 4. Break the chains of attachment. So what's stopping us? This brings us to the central conflict of the text, the deep societal and familial ties that hold potential wanderers back from their destiny. In chapter 2, titled Bedya Toda, which translates to Break the Chains, the author absolutely does not mince words. He explicitly commands the reader to violently break the chains of illusion, and specifically that romanticized attachment we all have to our birthplace. Let's clearly define what these bedya, or chains, actually are. Basically, they're the emotional and societal obstacles preventing us from exploring the world. We're talking about familial guilt, the heavy burden of inherited property, traditional expectations, the whole shebang. The text even considers profound love for your hometown to be a dangerous trap if it ultimately stops you from stepping out your front door. The text then directly challenges the reader with some incredibly tough, honestly uncomfortable questions. Will a mother's tears or a father's wrath stop you? Sanskrittyan takes a very harsh, pragmatic view here. He argues that a mother's excessive emotional attachment or a father's fear of losing his lineage and caretaker can utterly ruin a young person's potential to actually discover the world. So the crucial point is captured in this really simple analogy. The bird doesn't stay in the nest.
It grows wings and flies. The author beautifully points out that even in the animal kingdom, parent birds eventually push their young out of the nest to teach them how to soar. He sharply contrasts this natural progression with overprotective human parents who try to keep their kids tethered to the home forever. And of course, this brings up the massive societal guilt we all feel. Is it a sin to leave your home and family for the wider world? Well, society usually says yes, for sure, but the text takes a highly controversial stance. It argues that staying put out of mere obligation is the real tragedy. To achieve true freedom and greatness, you have to be willing to sever these domestic ties, at least temporarily, to experience the vastness of human existence. Section 5. A Call to Youth. All of this builds to a truly passionate manifesto directed right at youth standing at the threshold of their lives. The author declares that wandering isn't just a trip, it is a vow. It requires ultimate courage, defying all odds, and completely shedding your fear of the unknown. He is literally urging young men and women to step out of the comforting darkness of their familiar homes and walk confidently into the brilliant, challenging light of the wider world. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this powerful Sanskrit quote the text culminates with. For one walking the path beyond, what are rules and what are prohibitions? The author is telling us that a true wanderer transcends ordinary societal limits, local laws of tradition, petty boundaries, all of it. Once you commit to this path, you operate on a higher plane of human experience where those old rules simply don't apply anymore. We've traced an incredible journey today, from ancient monks to global explorers, all united by this single, powerful drive. The author leaves us with a stark reality. True greatness requires stepping into the unknown. So I'll leave you with the ultimate question inspired by this explainer. Are you acting like the frog in the well? And what chains are you ready to break today?